You were so close. Maybe it was the job application you never submitted, the relationship you pushed away right when it started to feel real, the project you worked on for months and then quietly abandoned 2 weeks before it was finished, the opportunity you let expire because you suddenly found 100 reasons why the timing wasn't right. You told yourself it wasn't the right moment. You told yourself you needed more time, more preparation, more certainty. But somewhere underneath that story was something you didn't examine too closely, because if you had, you might have found something that didn't make sense. You weren't failing, you were succeeding, and that was the problem. Self-sabotage before success is one of the most baffling and most human things a person can do. And the reason it happens is not what most people think. It is not laziness. It is not a lack of willpower. It is not even fear of failure. The real explanation runs much deeper than that, into the oldest layers of your brain, into the social architecture your ancestors built their survival on, and into a threat your nervous system was never designed to ignore. Your brain does not process success the way you think it does. You assume that success feels good to the brain, and in some ways, it does. But there is another system running underneath the reward system, and it is watching something else entirely. It is watching your position. It is watching how visible you are becoming. It is watching how far you are moving from the known, the familiar, and the safe. And when that system detects that you are about to cross a threshold, it does not celebrate, it panics. Psychologist Marianne Williamson did not name this directly, but her observation has been repeated in therapy offices for decades. People are often more frightened of their own power than of their own inadequacy. Failure is familiar. Most people have a well-worn map for how to handle falling short. They know what it feels like. They know what to do. But success, real success, the kind that changes things, moves you into unmapped territory. And unmapped territory has always meant danger. Here is what your brain is actually doing. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett has spent decades studying how the brain predicts and regulates emotional states. Her research shows that the brain is not a passive receiver of experience. It is a prediction machine. Constantly, beneath your conscious awareness, it is running models of what is likely to happen next, what each outcome will cost, what each outcome will require. And the brain's primary goal in all of this is not happiness. It is not success. It is energy efficiency and survival. It wants to keep you alive with the least possible risk. Success disrupts the model. When you are about to succeed at something significant, the brain detects a cascade of unknowns, new expectations from others, new responsibilities, new visibility, a new version of yourself that has not yet been tested. And because the brain cannot predict what that version of you will encounter, it does something elegant and terrible. It engineers a retreat back to the known. That retreat is what you experience as self-sabotage. Researcher Bessel van der Kolk, whose work on trauma and the nervous system has reshaped how psychologists understand behavior, observed that the body moves toward what it knows, even when what it knows is painful. Familiarity is not the same as comfort, but to the nervous system, familiarity is safety, and the brain will trade your future for the feeling of safety in the present every single time unless something intervenes. But there is a second layer to this, and it is the layer that most people never reach. Your brain is not just afraid of the unknown. It is afraid of what success will do to your relationships. You evolved in a small group, 50 to 150 people, living and moving together, dependent on each other for survival. In that world, one of the most dangerous things that could happen to you was social separation, being seen as different, being seen as elevated, attracting envy, resentment, or the kind of attention that made others want to cut you down. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm spent decades studying hunter-gatherer societies around the world. His research found a nearly universal pattern he called the reverse dominance hierarchy. In small-scale human groups, individuals who tried to rise too far above the group were actively suppressed. Others would mock them, ignore their contributions, withdraw cooperation, or exile them entirely. The group had a powerful leveling mechanism, and it operated automatically. Getting too big, being too successful, standing out too far above the others was not celebrated. It was punished. Your brain remembers this, not consciously, not in words, but somewhere in the ancient threat detection architecture that evolution built into you, there is a system that monitors your social position and sends alarm signals when you rise too fast. When you are about to publish the work, make the call, sign the contract, step onto the stage. That alarm does not say you are about to fail. It says you are about to be seen, and being seen in the ancient world was a gamble. This is why self-sabotage so often arrives not in the depths of struggle, but at the edge of breakthrough. The thesis abandoned in the final chapter, the business plan that sits finished in a drawer, the conversation that could change everything postponed until the moment passes. Your nervous system is not confused. It is doing its job. It is pulling you back from the tree line before someone on the other side notices you. Psychologist Gay Hendricks named this pattern the upper limit problem. His research suggested that every person has an internal thermostat set to a certain level of success, visibility, and positive feeling. When life starts to exceed that setting, the system kicks in, not to destroy you, but to recalibrate, to bring things back to the level your nervous system has decided is safe. The self-sabotage is the thermostat working. The particular form it takes is almost always personalized. For some people, it looks like suddenly picking a fight with a partner, right when things are going well, introducing chaos to relieve the unbearable tension of things going right. For others, it looks like illness, a sudden physical collapse that arrives precisely when a major opportunity does. For others, it is procrastination so specific, so targeted at the most important task, that it cannot be explained by distraction. The brain knows what it is doing. It goes for the thing that matters most. Researcher Brené Brown's work on vulnerability and shame adds another dimension. She found that the moment of greatest exposure, the moment just before something becomes real and visible to others, is also the moment of greatest psychological risk. Because once the work is out, once the relationship is declared, once the opportunity is accepted, it can be judged, it can be rejected, it can fail publicly. As long as it is unfinished, it is protected. The unsubmitted application cannot be turned down. The unpublished work cannot be criticized. The relationship not yet fully committed to cannot be lost. Self-sabotage is sometimes a way of keeping something safe by keeping it unreal. And there is something else underneath all of this that is worth sitting with. Success changes your identity, not just your circumstances, your identity. The version of you that has succeeded at this thing is a different version than the one who has not. And your brain has spent years, maybe decades, building a model of who you are, what you deserve, what is possible for you, what kind of person you are. When success is about to arrive, it threatens that model, not because the model is accurate, but because it is familiar, because the brain has organized itself around it. Changing it requires the brain to rebuild, and rebuilding is costly, uncertain, and deeply uncomfortable. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on identity and achievement showed that people often unconsciously protect their self-concept, even when that self-concept is limiting. It is not that they do not want to succeed, it is that they have a picture of themselves that does not yet include the person who has. And the mind will sometimes choose the picture over the reality. So what do you do with all of this? The first thing, and it is not a small thing, is to recognize what is actually happening when the sabotage begins. The exhaustion that arrives when the project is almost done. The sudden doubt that appears the night before the interview. The urge to burn something down right when it starts to matter. These are not signs that you were wrong about the thing. They are signs that your brain has registered how important it is. The resistance is proportional to the stakes. The bigger the sabotage, the closer you probably are. The second thing is to understand that this is not a character flaw. Every person who has ever done anything significant has felt this pull. The writers who delete the manuscript, the entrepreneurs who find reasons to delay the launch, the people who end relationships precisely when they become real. You are running software that kept your ancestors alive in a world where success without the group's blessing could get you killed. The third thing is the hardest. You have to feel the alarm and move anyway. Not because the alarm is wrong, not because the fear is irrational, but because you now know what it is. You know it is not a signal that you should stop. It is a signal that you are close. It is the nervous system doing what it always does at the edge of the unknown, sending everything it has to pull you back to safety. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and the version of your life that actually changes is the decision to take one more step while the alarm is screaming. You were so close. Maybe you still are.